my brother was little, he was obsessed with maps, and by the time he was 3, he knew the names of almost all the countries in the world. Whenever he saw a map of the world, one thing he would look for was if Taiwan was a different color than China, which meant that whoever made that map recognized Taiwan as its own country. I myself have been to Taiwan several times and attended school there, but whenever I came back to the US, people would always ask me, "How was your trip to China?" even though I've never even set foot in China before. Although Taiwan and China share a common language, the two countries are very different. In fact, Taiwan shares more similarities with the US than with China. Taiwan is a free and democratic country, but today its sovereignty, statehood, and the freedom of its 24 million people hangs in the balance. I will explain to you what Taiwan is and how it got to be in its current situation. Second, the differences between Taiwan and China, and last and most importantly, why the United States should strengthen its alliance with Taiwan. So what and where is Taiwan? Taiwan is a small tropical island about 100 miles off the southern coast of China. Its population consists of ethnic Chinese and indigenous Aborigines, but most people who live in Taiwan identify as Taiwanese. Though once a colony of China and then Japan, Taiwan has been a de facto independent nation since 1949. In 1979, when the U.S. severed its formal relations with Taiwan in lieu of diplomatic relations with China, Taiwan became increasingly isolated by the international community. However, during this time, a lot happened in Taiwan. There was a struggle for democracy which led to free elections and the creation of a multi-party system similar to the U.S. Taiwan has also developed into an economic powerhouse due to its free market policies. As Taiwan has developed into the flourishing and truly democratic nation it is today, China has turned its gaze upon Taiwan and has threatened repeatedly to take over Taiwan by force and claim it as part of itself. China considers Taiwan a rogue province, and in the Constitution of China it says, "Taiwan is a part of the sacred territory of the People's Republic of China. It is the lofty duty of the entire Chinese people, including our compatriots in Taiwan, to accomplish the great task of reunifying the motherland." Compatriots? The Taiwanese have never been a part of Communist China. Time magazine called Taiwan the last free place in the Chinese-speaking world. Unlike China, Taiwan is a robust multi-party democracy that shares common values with the U.S., and like the U.S., Taiwan tolerates dissenting views and upholds free speech. But China, under the Communist Party, is an authoritarian regime under one political party, with a long history of suppressing free speech and crushing political dissidents, from the Tiananmen Square in 1989 to the Hong Kong protests now. Many internet sites we use every day are banned in China. And when Chinese bloggers mocked President Xi for his resemblance to Winnie the Pooh, pictures of that honey-loving bear were censored from the internet. On a more serious note, people in China who were trying to warn people about the coronavirus were also silenced. But because of Taiwan's free press and free speech, Taiwan was able to warn the WHO about the coronavirus back in December when it could be stopped. But the WHO chose to disregard Taiwan's warning and kowtow to China instead. Taiwan is one of the few countries that has successfully controlled the coronavirus outbreak without any lockdowns. In fact, my friends in Taiwan complain to me that they still have to go to school and take their exams. By contrast, China has enforced lockdowns using extremely coercive and oppressive measures. Importantly, Taiwan upholds freedom of religion. My grandfather is a pastor and has preached freely in Taiwan. But in China, many pastors are put in jail and places of worship must be first approved by the government. An estimated 1 million Muslims in China, called Uyghurs, are being tortured for their beliefs. According to the Human Freedom Index, Taiwan is the second freest country in Asia and 19th in the world, while China ranks 126th. But all these freedoms that the Taiwanese currently enjoy would be taken away if China were to take over. Now that we know what Taiwan is and how it differs from China, I will now explain to you why the United States should strengthen its alliance with Taiwan. The U.S. should support Taiwan because Taiwan is a democracy. Supporting democracies such as Taiwan has been and continues to be a core American value in foreign policy. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said, "Taiwan's democratic system, free market economy, and civil society make it a model for the Indo-Pacific region and a force for good in the world." Supporting Taiwan is also in the U.S. self-interest. It is not an exaggeration to say that China is the greatest long-term threat to the U.S. China is emerging as a global military power, and it is on the verge of developing the most modern weapon system in the world. But how does Taiwan help the U.S.? Well, if you look at the geography of Asia, Taiwan is a part of a continuous chain of islands from Japan all the way down to the Indonesian islands, which acts as a barrier to contain China. General Douglas MacArthur once called Taiwan an unsinkable aircraft carrier, highlighting Taiwan's military importance. During the Korean War, the U.S. actually sent its 7th Fleet to the Taiwan Strait to protect Taiwan from China taking over. But if China did take over Taiwan, the U.S. would lose this critical military advantage. President of Taiwan, Tsai Ing-wen, said, "We are witnessing China's rise and expansion as it challenges free and democratic values. We need to understand that a totalitarian China poses a massive threat to the U.S., Taiwan, and to the free world, and there needs to be a strong alliance of free democratic nations to counter it. Taiwan is the perfect ally because it shares our values and is of great military importance. Therefore, the U.S. should support Taiwan." Thank you.